Just once again, get well soon, Tom Wagner. We're all behind you and all wishing you a really, really speedy recovery. And we can't wait till we see you back at St.Andrews KnightheadPark as soon as possible. Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. In this podcast, myself and Matt are going to preview the FA Cup match, FA Cup fourth round match against the Premier League Leeds United. It's nice to have a break from the Championship, and as always in this podcast, we're going to look at Leeds United, give you a bit about them, their form, their players, etc. But before we do that, Matt, I think we need to just acknowledge the really bad news that we've had just before coming on air of the ill health of our chairman, isn't it, Tom Wagner?
Really sad, isn't it, Dad?
Yeah. So we just, want to obviously wish Tom well and wish him a speedy recovery. And there's nothing more important than life, Matt. Nothing. We love our football. Of course we do. But life's so precious, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of puts everything into perspective, doesn't it? And obviously, we've just come off the back of the West Brom game, and there's a little bit of frustration. But actually, when you hear news like this, it kind of puts the whole thing into a bit of perspective, doesn't it? Really? And we wish nothing but Tom and his family a speedy recovery, and I'm sure we'll see him back down at St Andrews in no time at all. But for the time being, Dad, have a good rest, Tom. Take care of yourself and your family, and wish you all the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Back to the podcast, Matt. So it's nice to be at home. And it's nice to have a Premier League team coming to town, isn't it?
And also FA Cup, Dad, a lot of my memories and the Blues when I was a young kid and even sort of early adult was based around the cup games. I remember, I know this is the League Cup, but Ipswich, Liverpool, remember West Ham in the Carling Cup and obviously Arsenal in the final. And, even last year, Dad, Newcastle at home provided us with one of the best nights of last season, didn't it? Awata with the screamer, the full packed out Newcastle away end in the behind the goal, really good memories in the cup. And I actually want to quote Chris Davies, Dad. He talks about football and he talks about there is no destination. It's all about memories and moments, isn't it? And often cup games give us those moments you wouldn't usually get in the league campaign. So I love the cups, the League Cup, the FA Cup, all of them I think we should take quite seriously, and looking forward to hosting Leeds at the weekend. Yeah,
it's a good draw for us, isn't it? And I was hoping we get a Premier League team. And Leeds, as we know, they were in the Championship last season. And they've done well, because we know that traditionally teams that get promoted from the Championship often struggle when they go up to the Premier League. But, they currently sit 15th in the table. They're on 30 points, so they're 6 points clear of the relegation zone. And their form is really good. They've only lost twice in the Premier League in the last 13 games.
Wow.
Of which, though, 7 of those are draws. But they've still got 4 victories in there as well. But to lose just 2 games in 13 in the Premier League by any team is good. I think what they've done, Matt, they took a bit of a while to adapt because they had a poor start to the season. They went through a run of losing 6 games in 7, and that was from early October through till the end of November. But after that, that's when they've gone on this good. So I think they've adjusted and got used to the Premier League.
I'm glad you've mentioned that, Dad, because when you look at Sunderland and Leeds, they've had a decent crack at it, haven't you? And the conversation these days now is always the gap between the Premier League and the Championship. Yeah. So actually, when you see Leeds and Sunderland going up and actually having a crack at it, I mean, Leeds are far from safe. 6 points in the Premier League is nothing, is it? I mean, it's looking good for them, I think, and hope they do stay up because it just shows the pyramid isn't broken. Well, say it isn't broken. It's tough to make that gap, but at least they've had a crack at it. It's good to see, isn't it, for football?
Yeah.
And I actually watched Leeds, Dad. I was in the gym just before Christmas, and they were playing Chelsea at Ellen Road, and they won 3-1 with only having something like 27% possession. So Leeds this year in the Premier League have been that classic kind of example of stepping up in big moments in big games and finishing their chances.
Yeah.
And they've done all right. They in fact they beat Chelsea 3-1 comfortably.
That was the start of that run. Do you know when I'm talking about just 2 defeats in 13? That's where that win against Leeds. Against Chelsea. After that was a win. They went draw, win, draw, loss, win. Draw, loss, win, loss. Win, draw. So that was really the starting point really for this good run. You say 30 points. Really they say that Premier League it's 40 points is usually the threshold they're looking for safety. So with 12 games left to go in the Premier League, I think they're in a position that they'll be happy with. I would suggest.
Daddy's Blues got promoted and we were in this position, Leeds, and I'd be thrilled.
Tough opposition, aren't they, mate? Oh yes, I would. So would I think Leeds, Wolves would look at they'd cut their hand off to be in that position, wouldn't they? And Burnley, their home form is okay. They're about mid-table in the Premier League, or slightly just below that. But their away form, their third worst away form in the Premier League, and of course it's a different level, isn't it? So we can compare it to like saying, well, because we do this when we play Championship teams, seeing where they are in their away form or home form, depending on who we're playing and when. But it is a bit of a tougher comparison because the quality of the opposition is far, far superior in the Premier League. But they have struggled on the road. They've got, there's only, surprisingly, Burnley and Wolves have less points, but they've got 8 points on the road out of 13 games. They're sort of mid-table in terms of goals scored. They've scored 36 goals, which is literally the same amount of goals as Aston Villa, surprisingly. And they're sort of mid-table in the goals scored. And they've got the 5th worst defence in the Premier League, conceding 45. And again, I think, as again, typical of where that would put them in the league, which is exactly where they are, 15th. But I don't say, I think, I mean, again, I'm sure Leeds fans will comment on and we always welcome comments from the opposition fans. And, you know, I'm sure that they'll be quite encouraged by what they're doing and where they are at the moment.
Well, Daniel Farke, Dad's a good manager, isn't he? Pragmatic manager, quite an intelligent manager. He adapts Leeds depending on the opposition.
I think there was a bit of concerns, wasn't there? Because, you know, whether we'd be able to cope in the Premier League. And
in fact, Dad, I heard, again, this could all be absolute social media nonsense, but even when they won the league last year on 100 points, he was being rumoured to be sacked. Because, again, that the board were worried he wouldn't be able to make that step up. Again, that could be complete rubbish. Maybe a Leeds fan's watching this and could confirm. I think that's based upon the fact that
you've taken Norwich up and brought them back down again. I think that's...
Still, I mean, what kind of loyalty is that?
I know.
Anyway,
because I suppose when you do make that step of going to the Premier League, clearly you want to stay there, don't you?
But he's proven he can do it.
Yeah, but obviously...
You know, he stepped up to the plate, Dad, and proven he can do it. So I think they will look at this game, Birmingham City, Championship opposition. Don't get me wrong, we're having a good season, especially at home, but they will look at this as a game that they're going to want to dominate in terms of possession. They're going to want to control the game. You know, he sets them up quite stubborn, Dad. They're quite a pragmatic team, quite stubborn. You know, in defensive shape, they're either a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2. And I think Chris Davies might look at that, and especially with us being the home team, and think about us pressing them quite high. But I'm worried about that if he does go for that strategy, because we know with a higher quality opposition, if you press too aggressively, they'll carve straight through you, won't they? So we do have to be wary of that. But they're well drilled, they're well structured. I think he's put pragmatic first. You know, again, defensively, they're going to be hard to break down. But, you know, Dad, again, I'm not saying let's not pay them no respect and do that plan of rushing in. But, like, let's not pay them any respect. You know, they are a Premier League opponent, but we are a good Championship team. We're a good home team. And I think we've got more than enough in the materials here to give them a good game of football.
I think it should be quite an exciting game.
Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously got loads of threats because they're Premier League players, but they like attacking set pieces, and they've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, so he's a bit of a target man.
Is he injured, Dad?
I'm not sure. Maybe Leeds fans can tell us that. He's their leading scorer at the moment.
I thought he was injured, but I could have got that wrong. But he's definitely their biggest sort of aerial threat and biggest threat.
I mean, he could be, because in the starting lineup for the game that they played at the time of recording last night, actually away at Chelsea, which they came back from 2-0 down to draw that, he wasn't in the team. In fact, actually, on paper, he actually played a 5-4-1, but I think it was more like a 5-3-2, to be honest, with Nemencha as the striker. But you look through that team, you know, there's so much quality. They got James Justin as well at right back. He was at Leicester, wasn't he? Goodmanson as well, their right back. He's a good player as well. Arison, I think he's having a fantastic season. Every time I watch Leeds, I quite like watching them, but they're quite a gritty team, but they do try and play football as well. And Arison, to me, is one of the... he always stands out when I watch Leeds.
Yeah, Arison and Okafor.
Okafor,
they're the two that will break that line between the midfield and the defence from a Birmingham City point of view. So we have to be wary of them, Dad. We have to stop their run, stop their play. I mean, who knows what team he's going to play. Farke might decide to, you know, play more fringe players and try some new things. Who knows? But I hope both teams go full strength, if I'm honest, because I think this will make for an entertaining game of football.
Well, if we do that, Okafor wasn't in the starting lineup against Chelsea, by the way. Sorry, carry on.
But again, whenever I've watched him, he's a good player.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. Aronson is probably one of their better players. I think I really enjoy watching him play. But those sorts of players, we need to stop them drifting between the lines, because you know, when we look at some of the goals we've conceded in that gap between the defence and the midfield, shooting on the edge of the box, it's not really good enough. So when you have higher quality opposition, we have to be wary of that.
It's interesting what you say, Matt, about what type of team he picks, but I mean, they're not in a comfortable position in the Premier League, but they're in a decent position. So they might say, well, let's have a good go at the FA Cup this season, because I mean they're not going to win the Premier League obviously, but they have in terms of a chance of winning silverware, they might see this as their best opportunity. So I personally, I don't know, and we'll find out on the day. I think they'll pick a strong team. I hope they do as well. I hope they pick a strong team, because I'd like to be tested and see where we are at the moment. But Dan Dementia is a quality player. Ampadu as well. He's in their midfield. He's a good player. You go for the whole team. I mean, you could go through all. I mean, they're Premier League, aren't they? Bogle, Gruev, he's good as well. I mean, it's what you'd expect from a Premier League team, isn't it? But their top scorer at the moment is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's got 10 goals.
Done well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
A lot of people write him off.
Yeah. Mentia's got 6. Brendan Johnson has had 4. And Okafor has 4, and Aronson. Sorry, Brendan Aronson. Sorry, not Brendan Johnson. Brendan Aronson had 4, and he's got 3 assists as well. So quality players, quality team, and you look at Leeds and you think to yourself, they're always tough anyway. Even when we played them in the Championship, they're
a good side, aren't they?
Always competitive.
Big club.
Yeah, big. Yeah, they are a big club. They obviously sell out their allocation because they sell out everywhere, don't they? Should be a good atmosphere.
It should be down.
12 o'clock on a Sunday though. So it sort of doesn't take the sting out of it, but it's not the same as like 3 o'clock on a Saturday or under the lights.
Yeah, I know.
Type of thing.
I don't want to be so passive as to just give in and say that's the way it is now, but it kind of is in terms of with the football rights, with the busy schedule. You're going to expect some random games on random days, aren't you? And 12 o'clock Sunday, I've got to admit, it's got to be one of the most underwhelming times to play a game of football. But
I think I reckon the police have intervened
probably
because of the size of the two teams, and
possibly
is. But they've out of the last 10, they've won 3, drawn 5, lost 2. We've won 4, drawn 5, and lost 1. So both teams come into this game, albeit in different leagues, in decent form. As you mentioned, Matt, we are the home team, so the onus is going to be on us to take the game to them. So I think it'll be a cracking atmosphere, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I agree, Dad. Final things on Leeds for me is counter-attacks. Got some really good explosive players, wing play, full-back overlap, getting balls in the box. And to complement that, the kind of goals they score are crosses into the strikers, cutbacks from wide areas, transitions, and sometimes scrappy second goals. So, again, all about that Leeds kind of DNA this season in what Daniel Farke's done. And less common goals. They tend not to score from long range and slow possession breakdown. So, actually, I think these are going to be quite fast. They're going to be on the wing. They're going to be getting their balls into their strikers. And, again, from a Blues perspective, Dad, we just have to be compact. Be patient, I think, to some extent as well. And, as I said, pay them no respect and go at them. Not aggressively so, where we lose the game, where they carve through us, but enough where we give them a real good go. And I think, Dad, I know every fan's going to say this, I would just really hope we can get an early goal, because if we do that, like we saw against Newcastle, it knocks them off kilter. It allows us to flow into the game a little better. They then have to come at us even more aggressively, which sometimes suits us. And I would love an early goal from Blues in this game.
I think that would make a difference for us, wouldn't it? Because it's going to be a tough game. We're playing a Premier League team, and that would give us the impetus, wouldn't it, to not something to hold on to, because we're not the type of team that would just try and defend a lead. We will, but it just gives you something to build on, doesn't it?
Exactly.
All I've got is exactly what you've got, really. I think we must look at the same research, but they're very good at attacking set pieces as well. So that's something that's very strong on that. They're going to be fast. I think they'll be fast on the transition, and we just need to be careful. If all of our players are on their game and we do our jobs properly and don't make silly mistakes, I think we've got every chance of doing well in this game.
Yeah, I agree. So should we take us on quite nicely into the Blues game?
Again, it's the FA Cup now, so in the league you could almost 75-80% of the team you'd be able to pick, but it's whether you before we go into the actual individual players, do you think Chris Davis will make changes for this game?
I think he might make a few, but I've gone off the back of what our strongest team is, Dad, because that's what I want to see. So I think he might rotate a few players, but I don't think many. I think he'll predominantly give like a 95% strongest team, I think.
Yeah, because we and our game after is virtually a week.
We got a week. Good point. Yeah, the players have got a week to rest.
Why not play our strongest team? That's because that's what I've gone for as well. So do you want to start this one and take us through?
So Dad, I'm going to go for Beadle in goal. Yeah. I'm going to go for Wagner left back. I'm going to go for Clara and Neumann in the centre backs. And we didn't really discuss this in the West Brom post match, but actually I think Neumann had a pretty poor game. I thought he looked confused, when his distribution, when he got kind of over the halfway line, and then kept going back to Beadle. But anyway, I have picked him in terms of he does have a bit of a partnership there with Clara, and I think putting another centre back in might be a bit of a risk. I've gone for Iwata back at right back. I've gone for Solis in the centre mid. I have we haven't heard about Pake's injury. Let's assume he's out, so I'm going to put Tommy Doyle in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Osman on the left, Dux in the 10, Vicente on the right, and I am going to start with Stansfield in the 9 again.
Okay, so yeah, I've got a slight difference to you. Same as you. I agree with Neumann. He's almost like he's bereft of a little confidence at the moment. You know, his tendency is to want to sort of pass the ball backwards, and it does change our momentum a bit. I think, notwithstanding, I know there's a good player in there with Neumann, but I think it's a confidence thing with him.
I think you're right, yeah.
And his passing's been awry. You know, he tends to pass, you know, sort of backwards rather than and sideways rather than look forwards. And then when he does pass, it's sometimes, you know, straight to the opposition. But I have still put him in there because the only other alternative at the moment is Panzo.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
it's a risk for me that.
Yeah,
he hasn't played for us yet.
But then Chris Davies, that's the thought process of Chris Davies. Does he think, well, it's the FA Cup, I might as well give Panzo a go? But if you're going to pick his strongest team, I think he will put Neumann. I've put a Waterback as well, and I said in the post-match West Brom, I didn't realise how much we missed him until he was missing in the first half against West Brom.
By the way, Dad, I don't think Asoy Samuel did much wrong against West Brom.
No.
I think I quite liked him in terms of he's quite powerful.
Yeah.
He does carry the ball. He's quite quick. I just think Iwata gives us that extra bit of physicality.
Yeah. I've put him in as well.
Yeah.
I've gone for Doyle and Solis in the sixes, but this is where my team's different from yours. I've gone for Dimmy to start on the left. And again, nothing wrong with Osman. He's done very, very well. But I look Dimmy. He looked like a man possessed when he came on against Wembley. He was only on for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, true.
He was just like absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So I
But
think,
the fact he's only come back for 1 minute or 10 minutes, is he ready to start?
well, I think he is, and then we've always got Osman to come on if he
Yeah.
can't make the full 90. But I've gone for Damari Gray. I think he really was almost like he had a point to prove, didn't he? It's almost like, you know, we're winding him up, you know, like, and then it's like, off you go, because he was buzzing around everywhere, wasn't he? But I've definitely gone for Damari to start. And I like Osman, and I make that clear. I do like Osman, but I'd give Gray a start and then have Osman on the bench. I've gone for Patrick Roberts on the right. You went for Vicente, didn't you?
I've gone for Vicente,
Yeah, I've gone for Patrick Roberts on the right. Although I don't think West Brom was his best game.
And Vicente looked really good when he came on.
Yeah,
That's why I've swapped him out.
that again. So yeah, you may be right there, but I've still gone for Roberts. I've gone for Dux in the 10, and I've gone for Priske in number 9.
I was tempted to go for Prisk, but I think when you have a player like that on from the start,
Sorry, Stano on the bench.
yeah, stand on the bench. I think when you have Prisk on the start, it could make us a little bit too direct, maybe. And I think with Stansfield, with Leeds, and the way they're going to pass it around the back, I think we need that energy from the press.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I completely agree with the logic of that. That you know, we get that energy, but Prisk, he gave us a lot of energy when he came on.
He did.
And I like the idea of a big target man as well, particularly against these.
Yeah, fair point,
I've plumped for him with Stano on the bench. Yeah. I thought Dux has been underwhelmed in the last few games again, but he did get the assist in the previous game against Leicester, having done not much of that game. But I still think he is the current first choice number 10.
What I'd say as well, though, Dad, is we are light in the 10. So there's no one really chomping at the bit or Dux's heels, is there?
No.
I think that might be a little bit of a place to highlight in the summer, if I'm honest. And by the way, that's not me saying Dux isn't good enough or anything like that. I just mean I like healthy competition.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about Wagner and Cochrane, you think about Asoy Samuel, Laird and Iwata, you know, we've got good competition in spaces, whereas the 10 we don't.
No,
it's a light position for us. So I think Dux gets on by default. I don't like saying that, but I think he does. And you know what, Dad? If I turn up on Sunday and Dimmy Gray's in the left and Priska's in the 9, I'd be happy with that for sure. But I think my logic is based off, I think, because they're going to try and dominate possession and the ball and kind of get stuck in those side to sides, we need Stansfield or someone with a bit of energy. And I agree that Priska gave us good energy when he came on, and I like your logic about having a target man. Yeah, I'm just going to go for a bit more energy.
I think based upon our conversation, I'm sort of rethinking the right now, because you've gone for Vicente, haven't you? I've gone for Roberts, and I think if I really reflect on the West Bromwich Albion game, Vicente did give us something extra, didn't he? Yeah. So maybe it will be Vicente. I'm not going to change my mind because that's what I picked, but I think there's every chance that Vicente could also be, you know, in competition for that. Well, obviously he's in competition for it, but he could start.
So could Damari Gray, Dad. I think as well, actually, the more I'm talking about it as well, this is why these podcasts are good, because you're going to air it out. I think if you're playing Vicente, what I'm noticing with him, Roberts is an inverted winger, so he always cuts in on his stronger foot, or he'll cut it back and then swing in. Vicente's more of a byline winger, and he keeps beating his man and swinging it in.
And even if he loses it, we get corners.
Exactly, 100%. So I think maybe actually with Vicente on the pitch, maybe Priska is the best option because it gives a target on the end of his crosses, maybe. Yeah. So again, all food for thought, really. And what good problems to have, what a good conversation to have about the depth we have now and the quality we have. But I think, again, not contradicting or saying that you're wrong here. I think Vicente's nailed on to start. I do. I think
fair enough.
With his quality and what he's showing us, I think he's class.
Fair enough as well. Yeah. I think as well it might be good to give Stano a break as well.
Because
because we've got to give him a go anyway. And people say, I'm not really a school of thought. You can't drop Stano. I think everybody can be dropped. Everybody,
100%.
And I know people say, well, Stano's got to start, and of course he gives us the energy. But he needs as well occasions where he's dropped because he needs to realise that he needs to be on his game every game as well. Because he has been a little bit disappointed. We could use the excuse of it's not an excuse. We could use the observation that he's not getting the service and we're not playing to him and stuff like that. But then again, he's still on the pitch, so he can make things happen for himself if he does the right thing. So again, I love Stano, always have, and he'll always be. I think. First choice, but there are going to be those occasions where he's going to be out of form. We do need to change. I think this is one of them. So what about score prediction then?
So I've kind of got the magic of the cup with my prediction. I think I've gone for goals. I've gone for quite a high scoring game.
7-7.
I think we have the power here to nick something. I really do. I say nick something. I'm not disrespecting our own quality here, but they are a Premier League team.
Yeah.
They are a good team, Leeds, and especially if Farke goes full strength. But I think we have enough to win it. I think I'm going to go for Birmingham 3, Leeds 2.
Wow, that would be exciting.
Yeah, good game.
Yeah, I've gone a little bit more conservative than you.
Okay.
I've gone for 1-1 and then Blues to win on penalties.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! I hope you're wrong.
That's what I've got. That's what I've gone for. They're predictions, Matt. But
sure.
I just think that it could be one of those games where we will be very, very competitive in this game. We will be. They're a good side, and you've gone for quite a few goals in the game. And if that's the case, then fantastic. I'd love that. I just think that there's something in my mind that thinks we could be level with this, and there's no replays in this. And I think if it'll go all the way to penalties.
I love the FA Cup. I love all the cup games. Premier League opposition. As you said, I think what you said earlier is really important. This will be a good test of where we are. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Bring it on.
Yeah, fantastic. And we'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Birmingham City supporters, let us know. And also Leeds United supporters, we welcome comments from the fans from opposition teams on our podcast. All we ask for is that all the comments are respectful. There's no abusive language or aggressive behaviour or insulting remarks, because it is a family podcast. And we do have families and children watching this podcast. If you did like this podcast, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you like to watch, if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll find us on there as well. And you see the handles appearing on the screen for all these channels right now. If you haven't subscribed already and you'd like to, then hit that big red subscribe button. And if you would like notifications every time we put a new podcast out, then hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button for that to happen. Just once again, get well soon, Tom Wagner. We're all behind you and all wishing you a really, really speedy recovery. And we can't wait till we see you back at St. Andrews KnightheadPark as soon as possible. So that's it for this podcast. And myself, Matt, see you on the next one. All about Birmingham City.